Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to continue our build on the GX200 clone. What you see here is some plywood. It's 1/2 inch ply. I cut this and gave it a shot of paint with a rattle can. So this is actually an engine mount. The reason why I make the engine mount is that, well, of course, we'll mount the motor to it, but I can clamp the motor down to the table when we're tuning it and running it, and it's not going to walk all over the place. So what I'm going to do with this, of course, is these are the mounts. We'll just put 2 screws in there, and this, of course, are for the drain plugs. So if we want to change the oil and so forth once it's on the mount. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece and screw it into here, and then we'll mount the engine on, and then we'll continue with our build. Today I think we'll hit the exhaust, and we'll work on that, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Hopefully that'll work out well. Okay guys, so we've got our mount here. So we're going to have to try to line that up as best as I can. It looks pretty well where I need it to be. A little crooked. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and we'll throw some screws into it. I think that one grabbed. That one grabbed. Let's remove that screw. We're good. Okay guys, so I've got that mounted. Screws fit pretty good. I've got a couple of nuts and bolts that we're going to put through so we can mount this thing. And we'll put a washer at the back side of this. Now this is just basically needing to hold it down, okay? Just so when we're basically tuning this engine, we want it to hold. And I'm thinking that's going to be long enough. I'm hoping that's going to be long enough. And of course, it's not long enough. Okay, let's see if we can find longer ones, slightly longer, and see if we can make that happen. Okay, so we found some longer ones. Let's see if these work out. And they do, perfectly. All right, we'll put a washer on top. We won't torque it down until I get the other side in, but just enough to hold her. Yeah, you guys can see that or not. But that one's in there. So I'll lift it up so you can see what I did. I'm hoping you can kind of see that. Right. Almost lift it, but you see that's why I'm putting a mount, okay? So we got that one there, and we'll turn it around and we'll do the other one. I'll do the opposite corner on this side. There we go. And well, we got lots of length there, which is good. Take the bolt off of this. That should work out good. Okay, we got it mounted on there. Let me put these other nuts and bolts away, and we'll tighten those up, and that should work out good. So guys, what I'm gonna do is I'll bring you in close so you can actually see how I did that. Okay, so you see how it's bolted in through the bottom of the plate. And we'll spin this around. And there you go, you can see it on that side. So basically all this is gonna do is it's gonna stop the motor from tipping on us when we're working. Also, it's gonna be great when I wanna run it, because what I'll do is I'll put it on the bench like so and clamp one here, and we can test it. All right, so let's get on to figuring out what we're gonna do with this exhaust. Okay guys, so what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna mock up the header. We're just gonna put it on hand tight just to get an idea of where we're at. And then I can make some markings on how I want to approach this. Get that in tightened up by hand. Okay, snug. She's looking pretty good. So this motor, from what I can gather on, or info on it, top rev is about 3,600. By removing the governor the way I did, I should be getting anywhere between 43 and 4,500. So that's going to give it some top end, which is nice. Intake and exhaust should open her up a bit, so that's going to work out quite nicely. So what we want to try to do here is find out the actual top end of the header. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of eyeball a mark. Top end. Not too bad. You guys can see that. Maybe just a tiny bit more. Just like so. Now these are a little loose, but once we put the gasket in and everything else, we can tighten that up. Now, here's the pipe. So that's the neck. So this has got a marking already, pretty well dead center. That's right here. Well, this is the marking right here, which is very interesting. There's a snap bolt in that, but that's no big deal. Right there. I'm just kind of getting an idea of where we're at. And that's pretty well where I'm going to be. So this is this weld here. Dead center, dead center. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to move that engine off off that metal stand, and we'll take a look at this and see what the game plan is. Okay, so let's unbolt this. Okay, that's not too bad. So let's see what we got going on the inside of this thing. Okay, so there we are. Okay, so let's cut this here and see what we can do with it. That's awesome. Get the quick saw out and we'll give this a cut. Let me go grab a vise so we can hold on to this thing, and let's see what we come up with. Okay guys, so we got it ready to roll. I'm just going to put on some safety glasses just to make sure I'm not getting anything in my eyes, and let's give her a shot. Okay, so you guys can see that on the inside. So we've got a cone, 2 little pipes, and it comes through. There we go. Oh, we got a reducer there. So what we need to do is we need that section. I'm wondering if I could skip that. Reduce that to that. I was expecting to see some packing in here, and there isn't any. Very interesting. I'm wondering if it was removed at one time. It's a possibility. So let's cut this weld here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it back just a bit and see what we can do with that. Most likely, I'm going to stay about 1/4 of an inch away from that. All right, let's bring that motor back up onto this bench. We'll need that for when we're welding. Move that out of the way. There we go. Try to stay organized here, guys. Let me put this motor back up on here. There we go. It should be a tight fit. There it is too. Look at that. Beautiful. Let's tighten that down a bit. I'm going to clean out that inside a bit and it should slide right in. Okay guys, so before I continue with anything, we're going to take this back off again and we're going to cover up the port. This way I can actually cut this on the motor. We'll cover the motor up and make sure that we get nothing on it, but I want to be able to do it while it's on the engine. So let's take these out, and we'll use the same tape I used before, and we'll go from there. Basically unscrewing that, and we'll put the tape on. We'll put the tape on the back of the pipe and on the actual motor itself. This way no particles will go in there while I'm cutting. All right, let me just take that off. I'll go grab the tape. And we'll clean that up this way, make sure things don't fall in there. Grab that tape. I'll grab a pair of scissors and a blade to get it to cut it. Okay, so let's get that tape on. So I'm going to do 2 pieces. Do one here, like so. I'll cut out the holes for the bolts. Make sure I get that out of there. There we go. That's good. I think that should be okay. The other option is that I can shove a little bit of steel wool inside there. Stop it from coming through, and I think that's what I will do. And then we'll clean that up later. Of course, I don't have any at the moment. All right, so we'll put another little piece of tape on that. Just like that. Cut around it, as you can see. So all I'm doing really is just making sure as I'm cutting stuff that, or cutting this pipe, that no metal particles will enter into the exhaust. I don't care so much about the pipe at this moment because I'm going to be taking it off again anyway to do a complete weld, but we don't want particles falling into the actual motor itself. Okay, so we got that on there. And let's put this back on. We'll tighten it up a bit. And we'll get a towel, throw it over top of the motor. Make sure that we're good. And then we'll cut this pipe. And just tighten that up snug this time so we don't get any wobbling. While we're working on it. All right, so put that on there. So let's cover up this motor. So we don't make a mess. And we'll give that a cut. And we'll clean this up with a grinder. All right, the gloss is back on. Okay, there we go. So that should slip on pretty good. Kind of where we want it, right there. That's awesome. I think we want that to go further back a bit. Still too far out. We don't want it to surpass that too much. So, just wondering where she's hitting. Okay, I'm going to take off another 1/4 inch. Let's see. Let me mark it. Well, let's see how that fitment works. Exactly what we want. Perfect, guys. Absolutely perfect. Okay, so now the game plan is to clean this up. We'll hit it with the welder. We'll do a spot weld on it. We'll take it off, clean up all these welds here, and then we'll cut the tube down to fit that. And that should line up with what I got going on. So we want that a little bit longer. That should work out quite nicely. Perfect. Okay. So let's clean this up. Let me grab the other grinder. And we'll clean that up a bit. I'm going to plug this thing in. Now we'll go get the welder ready. Okay guys, so we got it all set up. We'll get the welder dialed in and we'll do a couple of tacks on this to get it in place. Then we'll remove it, of course, and then we'll hit it with full weld. And then what we'll do is we'll get the cone in that covers up that front, and we'll tack that in too and see where we're at. All right, so now we just got to even that out a bit, and that should fit on quite nicely. So the game plan is to get this to be tacked in where we kind of need it to line up. Just like that. And I'll tack her in and then move around and just kind of make sure she's sitting where she's supposed to be. And then we'll go from there. All right, so let's get that welder back on. Start tacking that together. See how she goes. All right. Well, we got her tacked in. She looks pretty straight. Let's see what she looks like on this motor. She looks awesome. All right, so now we got our welder up, guys. So I'll start welding the thing up, and we'll clean up the welds. And then we got to figure out a bracket of some sort to help hold it, because it is quite heavy. So we'll take it from there. So let me weld this up, and we'll go from there. So guys, I've got it all welded up. A little bit of a challenge, kept blowing through. It's pretty thin material. There was a nut and bolt here. I filled it and got rid of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this back on the engine. It is quite heavy, so what I'm going to try to do is figure out a way of bracing it onto the motor. So once I get it mounted, we'll look at it and we'll figure out how to brace it, and we'll probably use a little bit of flat bar. I don't have any flat bar in stock right now, so what I'll do is I'll cut an angle iron and make my own. So let's get this back on the motor and see how she goes. So guys, I got her mounted on there. She looks pretty mean. So hopefully we'll make it look pretty, but for now she's looking good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a piece of flat bar that mounts to the head and then comes up across in order to give it some extra support. Just because that's pretty heavy, okay? So it's a lot of weight on that, those two small bolts there. So what we'll do is we'll get a piece of flat bar and bend it, and then I'll weld it to the brace right under here. That should hold it really, really well. So let me cut a piece of flat bar, or make a piece of flat bar, and then let's see how I can get that to sit on there. Okay guys, so I got it bent. Of course it's bent the wrong way. Well, it's not too bad. Well, we gotta bend this way. Got a marker. Would have been better if I had some flat bar, but this works. that. See how that works out. Not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to trace out the bottom of the nut and bolt there, and we'll carve that out, and we'll bend this up to wrap around that piece, and that should hold it nicely. Okay, let me trace that. Get it in place. Where I want it. That should be good. And that is right there. All right. So that's like that. This will get an idea where I'm at. Just like that. And that gonna go down this way. Okay guys, so I ended up getting that fitment in pretty good. As you can see it under there, a little blurry, but it's there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tack it, and then I'll dismantle it, and then take it off, and we'll fully weld it. And the exhaust should be completed. We'll put some seam sealer, some high temp seam sealer around the welds I did, just to make sure that they're all good. Material was really, really thin, and it was blowing through like crazy. I used a little bit of a filler rod to help me out, but not bad, not bad. But I'll do that anyway. And then of course we'll paint right over it. So let's get that tacked in, and then we'll move on. All right, so let's take that off. That motor should be tacked on pretty good. I don't want to do any damage to this thing, so we'll get it off there. It's pretty warm. Should work out well. And I'll put the motor aside, and I'll weld that, finish welding that bracket on, and we should be good to go. So guys, I've gone ahead and put the seam sealer on. This is high temp. It's made by JB Weld. Basically, it's cured now for 24 hours. It's still a little soft, but I'm going to go ahead and sand it down. So I'm just going to use basic 100 grit sandpaper just to smoothen out the excess. And then what we're going to do is we'll give it a little bit of paint right now. I will end up spraying it, but I want to get it smoothened out and put a coat of paint on it and then take a look and see what the finish looks like. So let me sand it down and I'll show you guys what it looks like once I'm finished sanding. Oh, so there you go, guys. I went ahead and sanded it. So what it did, it basically filled in all the little divots from my weld. With some dents in it, and it filled those in, which is quite nice. Made that transition a little smoother. So not bad at all. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna touch this stuff up here, this area here up with some high heat paint. I'm gonna throw it on by brush just to cover up the metal. We will spray it, but for now I'll do that. I'm gonna put one coat on it and see what it looks like, and then take it from there. But she's looking pretty good, not bad at all. And I want to make sure I get some paint on this piece of flat bar here, just to make sure. And then we'll let it dry, and we'll sand it down again, and then respray it, and it'll give it more of a cleaner finish. But let's get the paint out, and I'll touch it up with a brush, and we'll take it from there. There you go, guys. I've gone ahead and gave it a coat of some high heat paint. Basically, just a brush on for now. Once this dries, most likely tomorrow afternoon, what I'll do is I'll water sand it and try to get all some of the imperfections out. There's a couple here that I want to get out, and what I'll do is I'll touch that up and feather it out. But it looks pretty good. So we'll let it dry. It should dry out to a matte finish. We'll sand her up and make sure she looks good and give it another coat. Most likely I'll be spraying it the second coat. Okay guys, so I've got the exhaust mounted. This is just a test fit. As you can see, the paint's not even. We're gonna slightly sand her down and give her another coat. And she's looking pretty good. Let me show you what the front end looks like. I've got the front clip here. I'll put that on there just to give you an idea. She's looking pretty sweet. So hopefully she sounds as good as she looks. So guys, if you've watched to this point, I do appreciate it. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out. The next video we'll remount the gas tank and do the rectifier and all the wiring. And of course, get this thing tuned up. Guys, thanks again for watching. I do appreciate it.